Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today we got another Gun Gripe episode for you. This is one that, some gripes, I'll admit, we kind of just come up with things to kind of spitball a little bit and talk about. This is a legitimate gripe, and people will talk about not being able to find .22 ammunition, and I guess this video kind of serves as an update to the whole .22 ammo situation. Some of you folks are new gun owners. All right, and you may not really know some of the things that have happened in the past that have made some types of products and ammunition a little bit difficult to get. Some of you guys are new to the fold, and maybe if you've only been a gun owner 6 months, well, you're kind of in a little bit more of a golden age, and some of us had to suffer under other situations, let's just say. Okay, Sandy Hook happened, and then there was a big run on guns, and there was a big run on ammunition, and for a long time, .22 ammo was really, really tough to get. It's kind of starting to break open a little bit, and it's starting to come back, but there's still that stigma in people's minds where they're like, oh, well, I can't find any .22 ammo, so we're going to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen so many comments on videos, like we're showcasing a .22 rifle or pistol or something like that, or like in the recent Meltdown video. It's like, oh, well, it's just jokingly, but oh, now I know where all the .22 ammo went. Oh, you guys are hoarding all the .22. No wonder I can't find it. But then there's other folks like, I can't find $22 anywhere. I mean, I go to the Walmart and they never have it. Like, well, is that the only place you go? Walmart? I mean, Walmart's a big place or a big problem because there's hoarders, literally like ammo hoarders, that'll go to Walmart like 7 o'clock in the morning, and they'll talk to the people that work there and stuff and find out when they put out the ammo and stuff, and they still limit you to like 2 or 3 boxes. I don't hardly ever buy ammo from Walmart, so I don't really know what it is now. I think it's 3 boxes, but they'll go in there with like 4 or 5 people, and they'll all buy everything that's on the shelf, and they'll go and turn around and like sell it. This is what they did back when the ammo shortage was going on. They'd buy it for cheap at Walmart and then sell it for double or triple, to the folks that couldn't find it because they snatched it all up, and people are still doing that kind of stuff.
And there was a big problem too, when Sandy Hook happened and there's this big run on guns and a big run on ammunition, a lot of unscrupulous retailers were buying the ammo at the normal, wholesale cost. Now, granted, maybe at a reduced quantity that they would normally be able to get allocated to them, and then taking it and jacking it up for 4 or 5 times what they paid for it, and basically holding the ammo hostage, and in a way saying, hey, well, if you want this, brick of auto match here, you're going to pay $59 a brick when it should only be $20 a brick. So there was a bit of that kind of scalping going on a little bit.
It's the same thing that the gas stations and stuff do. They jack the prices up on fuel when there's some sort of disaster, that sort of thing. But it's in a certain sense, it's kind of like economics, because there's a huge demand, but there's low supply, so the retailers want to hang on to what they have.
Right.
So they raise the prices accordingly to meet the demand that's out there. It's common, but it's kind of unfair on the same time, especially on the consumer side.
Then there's an issue of, hey, longevity. You have to stay in business, but at the same time, longevity-wise, you want to make sure that all of your people are taken care of. You don't want your customers hating you because you had to raise the price on ammo or whatever. I mean, the issue is, okay, like when there was that run on ARs, and I swear we're getting back to .22, but the ARs have a lot to do with it because there was a big run on ARs, and everybody thought the sky was falling and everything like that. And when there was that run on ARs, if a shop kept selling their M&P 15 Sports for $5.99 or whatever they were before all the scare, then all that would happen would be that it wouldn't be the normal person that would be able to buy that gun. It would end up being your competition come in the door and buy all your guns and then take them across the street and jack them up double what they, so there was a little bit of that going on, scalping both from the dealer's ends and then also, people doing it to each other, buying up quantities of ammo when they were lucky enough to procure it for a reasonable price, and then turning around and trying to jack it up. Simple economics, but, Chad mentioned like quantity limits on .22 ammo. One place that I go on a regular basis, sometimes I go by Gander, sometimes I go to Bass Pro Shops, sometimes I'll go to Academy. And look, last time I was in Academy Sports, guys, he didn't believe me. They had several different types of .22 ammunition on the shelf, in stock, in quantity, and no limits. You could buy whatever you needed to buy. And the prices were pretty much pre-Sandy Hook.
The last time that I went to an Academy, I bought some auto match, and they had a limit, like 2 boxes per person. I was with my wife, so we bought 4 boxes, and they were like $20.99. But I've bought auto match recently within the past year at prices as low as like $18.99, like down at Barrows. And, I bought several boxes down there. I bought some CCI Standard and some CCI Quiet down there for less than $40 a box, which by today's standards, that's pretty inexpensive in the big scheme of things. But you remember when my parents were growing up, I mean, I remember finding boxes of 22 that had like 79 cents on it. You know, 50 round box of 22 for like 79 cents or like 89 cents or
That's
whatever.
right.
The CMP used to have bricks, like 500 round bricks of like military training ammo for like $90 a brick.
That's right.
You know, and there's like the 4-H centers and stuff, they'd buy up tens of thousands of rounds of this stuff, and it would last them years.
That's
you know,
right.
and 22 doesn't go bad overnight. You know, contrary to popular belief, it actually has a pretty good shelf life too if you store it properly.
My grandpa used to go to Service Merchandise, you know, a long time ago,
God.
and he used to buy those. I know. I want to say it was either Remington or Winchester.
Like the
Somebody
golden
did,
bullets,
the little
the
golden
bucket?
bullet, the little
Yeah.
golden bullet packs, and they would have like a little tub of ammo, and he'd go and buy them, and they were dirt cheap.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, the days of like truly dirt cheap 22 ammo probably gone. Like these 550 packs from Federal. These were kind of the good old days back when you could buy what, $13 for a 550 pack.
When you and I started shooting, we'd go to Walmart and we would buy a couple of these. We'd each buy one, and they were like $13, $14 when we really started shooting. And literally, you can go through a box of 550 rounds in an afternoon easily.
That's another thing that people tend to not really think about is the fact that you do go through a lot of 22 ammo. So there's a lot of these folks out there that are going, well, why do you need so much 22 ammo? Why are you buying so much 22 ammo? Well, because I shoot a lot. I mean, in an average day, you're going to burn up this box of Auto Match from Federal here. You're going to be burning that up pretty quick
you get,
in an afternoon range session.
Yeah, you get like my little 22 SBR involved, and I've gone to like the Blue Alpha Gear range days before, and there's a couple of guys with M16 lowers, like the guys from KG Made and the guys from Quiet Riot out there, and we'll run that M16 lower with my upper, and I've gone through 1,500 rounds of Auto Match in an afternoon, just letting people shoot it, just load mags and letting people have fun, you know. And you mentioned, you know, not being able to get it, and then that was my case. Like I wasn't able to get 22 that much like 3-4 years ago. It's like I had maybe 1,000 rounds laying around, and I was trying to, you know, ration it out.
Burn it up, buy it. Burn it up, buy it. Burn it up, buy it.
Well, like you couldn't get it, and I just wasn't going to pay the prices that people were asking for it. So I stopped shooting 22 for a while, and like Eric gave me some here and there just to, you know, take the kids out and shoot or whatever the case was.
Right.
And I'm trying, like now, I keep a lot of 22 ammo. I've got tens of thousands of rounds of this stuff that I buy like a brick or two every time I'm at a store. Or I order it online, and that's one thing we're going to get to in a minute is talking about like where you can find this ammo besides Walmart.
You know, and it's crazy too. Like I remember one time we went up to visit Plinkster, and you know, and this was back when Plinkster was still a pretty small channel, and everything like that. And even Dave was telling me, you know, hey, I'm having a hard time finding some types of 22, and I just so happened to have like a half a case of 22 with me. That I was glad to leave with him so he could, you know, keep doing his trick shots and all.
Like
and
pay it forward, you know.
Exactly.
And my thing is I want to keep a lot of 22 on hand because I do have small kids. I'm trying to teach them to shoot. I love shooting 22. I absolutely love shooting 22. I probably shoot it the most out of any other caliber that I own. And I don't want to go through that same phase again like I went through a few years ago. If somebody in my family or some friends or whatever the case is, or I go to a range day and people got 22 but they don't have, or they've got 22 guns but they don't have 22 ammo, well, they're going to have 22 ammo.
That's right.
I mean, you know, you pay it forward if you're that kind of guy. Now, if you're the other type of person, you know, you're just going to say, oh, well, I got some 22, but, you know, you're going to have to pay me $100 a brick to get it. No. Not quite.
There is a fine line there, and I'll tell you, so a lot of folks, getting back to kind of the main vein of the gripe here, is the fact that a lot of folks are like, oh, well, you can't go in the local big box wherever and find it. Yeah, you may not be able to find it locally at some of the big box places. There's a lot of deals online that you can find. Don't be afraid to break out that smartphone and make that phone work for you. Things like AmmoSeek.
Oh yeah, AmmoSeek's great.
There's another one that I think that's called AmmoBot.
I think so, something like that.
Or something to that nature. There's a lot of search engines that you can actually use that will give relatively updated status updates of what it does is basically it'll crawl a variety of different websites, and then it will give you an updated list. You can actually set up notifications to where, like, you set a price point that you would like to buy the ammo at, and then it'll actually send you a notification if that certain site posts the ammo at the price that you specify. So if you say, hey, I don't want to pay more than I mean, heck, what is 7.62 by 39 going for on the cheap end now? 12 cents a shot or something like that?
Like a couple $100 for 1,000.
Yeah. So whatever the rate may be, if you say, hey, I don't want to pay more than 13 cents a shot, it won't even send you updates unless it gets down to 13 cents a shot. So if a site, blows out 22 ammo, for instance, you're going to be the first to know with a website like that, and that's handy. A kind of a little tool to help you look.
I use AmmoSeek quite regularly, and it doesn't find every good deal or every website out there that's got a particular type of ammo that you're looking for, but you can search by brand, caliber, bullet weight, special keywords, whatever, like suppressor ready ammo or whatever the case is. This stuff has been really hard to find. Eric and I bought a bunch of this American Eagle suppressor ammo up at Adventure Outdoors locally. It's a big retailer above Atlanta. And we paid, like $50 a box for this stuff, but we had just gotten some 22 cans back and stuff, and we saw this, was like, well, let's buy it, and they don't have limits on this stuff up there, but they charge you for it a little bit.
Right.
And this was kind of like, post-stupid pricing, but still kind of stupid pricing in the big scheme of things. But
for what it should be, it's
but
definitely a little on the expensive side.
I bought some of this Agula a while back, and I bought like a couple of cases of this stuff for around $300 a case, just so I could have some copper-plated ammo to run through my suppressed guns to try to keep them cleaner.
Sure.
You can find this stuff for just over $200 now for an entire case of ammo, so I don't want to hear the whole, I can't find it.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that's 5,000 rounds.
5,000 rounds of 22.
That's a lot of ammo there.
That's a pretty dang good deal. I mean, all this Agula stuff is pretty dang good. The Thunderbolt, I caught a lot of hell about this ammo because it was marked $39.99. I didn't pay that for. That's just what was marked on there. I paid like $25 a brick for this stuff.
Yep.
But
Agula does a great job with their ammunition. Agula is one of those companies that does
Agula. I always say that
some
wrong.
really interesting things, like not only their subsonic and some of their high velocity offerings, but also things like the Sniper Subsonics, which is like a little 60 grain. Low, which is kind of neat if you got a good fast twist on your barrel. There's shorts that they make. They make a round called the Calibri. So they have a wide variety of different ammo. And as of right now, knock on wood, it's generally available and very high quality. A lot of the federal stuff, like he's holding here, the mini mags, even the CCI Stangers. Some Stangers. Them things are loosening up a bit.
They are. You can find them. When we bought this mini mag, these 100-round sleeves, Eric was at Gander Mountain. This was like maybe a year and a half ago or so.
It's been a minute, yeah.
But they had a limit on 10 boxes of this or whatever, and he and Brandy were up there, and he called me. He's like, "Hey, you want some of this ammo or whatever?"
Like $8.99.
Yeah, $8.99 a sleeve.
About, where it needs to be.
$4.50 a sleeve for CCI. I mean, it's not bad. I've seen cases of CCI Standard online for $350. Now that's not including shipping, but you could order. Gosh, you could order, like when I ordered 10,000 rounds of ammo, this stuff, I paid like, I don't know, $70 to ship it. And considering that most places around were asking like $50 a box, I thought that was a pretty fair deal.
I will say I do prefer this packaging.
I do. I like the sleeves.
This is my favorite type of 22 ammo packaging, or the individual sleeves. I mean, yeah, you're probably going to pay a little more than you would for like bulk pack that's just thrown in a box or whatever, kind of like the Thunderbolt or the Automatch of the world. But I prefer the sleeves because it keeps the ammunition segregated, and you don't have to worry about any kind of corrosion or anything weird going on. You don't have to worry about wax, uneven, like some of the waxed ammunition like the Automatch can be. And the Norma TAC 22 is a wax bullet, and sometimes it'll wipe the wax off, and it can give you some inconsistencies with accuracy. So if you're going for accuracy, the way that they pack this ammo in these sleeves keeps the ammo nice and consistent.
Yep.
And also the way that these little guys are packed is pretty much the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, guys. I think the big thing with this video is like there is 22 ammo out there, and a lot of people were complaining that the manufacturers weren't putting out as much as they could be. Well, we talked to some folks that work at Federal, and that run the CCI plant and stuff like that, and they were running those
record numbers.
7 days a week, 24 hours, 3 shifts.
Multiple shifts a day, 7 days a week. I mean, I don't remember what the exact numbers were, but let's just say they're putting out 22 ammunition in record numbers. So believe me, the demand has always been up for 22 ammo. It's just, I think what's happening now is that the industry's kind of getting back to the new normal. We haven't known what normal really is for the last 6 years. Or 8 years, rather, yeah. So the last 8 years, we haven't really known what normal can be. So now that things have calmed down a little bit, I mean, let's face it, some people just aren't making guns their primary focus right now. Now, that's not good. We have to keep our focus on firearms because firearms are very paramount to an armed, polite, and society and everything like that. I think the Second Amendment's extremely important, and I think that people always need to embrace the Second Amendment all the time, no matter what. I don't care if they erased every gun law overnight and made everything just a giant free-for-all, whatever they wanted to do. I still wouldn't stop fighting for our rights. So that's important. We have to remember, if you're going to be a true gun nut, you got to always be a gun nut. And right now, a lot of people, the Second Amendment, unfortunately for some people, is taking a little bit of a backseat in their lives.
Kind of stagnant.
They've had a really, really crazy 8 years. And they're like, hey, maybe I won't buy so much 22 ammo right now. So yeah, 22 ammo is starting to free back up. And you've seen some of these ammo plants and some of the gun manufacturers have been laying people off because now the decreased demand, well, they ramped up for this crazy supply. Well, guess what? Now the demand doesn't meet the supply, so you got to scale back. And how do you scale back? You have to let people go, unfortunately.
Well,
So from their perspective, they've downsized their companies. But they're downsizing back to the original levels that the companies were originally at, pre-stupid levels. So it all evens back out. Unfortunately, some good Americans are losing their jobs over it, and I feel sorry for those families. But prices will normalize and even back out. Supply and demand will normalize, and they'll find that kind of point there where they all live together. And right now, you should be able to go in just about any reasonably stocked gun shop, and you should be able to find 22 ammunition if you look.
Moss especially, like we bought a bunch of 22 from Moss, and a while back when the shortage and stuff was going on, they limited quantities, and they didn't really have a whole lot in stock. And there were some times where all you could find was like this match ammo. And, there's a couple of varieties of this gold medal match. This is like $10 a box. They've got some that's even as much as like $17, $18 a box. But, buddy, that stuff shoots. But you don't want to, run through a whole box and like just a couple of mags out of like an M&P pistol or something.
And that's
like
good
that.
If you're going to like really test like the true accuracy. You really want to know what a gun can do.
Or you're shooting a silhouette match.
I do want to make a quick note about Moss, okay? Like on this auto match especially, okay? And one thing I want to mention about that is that even when all this stupid stuff was going on with gun prices and ammo prices, one thing I can say about the Mosses, they never went up on their ammo prices. At all. Now, granted, you may not be able to go in there and get it because it's not there, because people buy it. But if it's one thing that I could say is that if they had auto match or bulk 22 in stock, it was always like between $18 and $22, which is about the going rate.
I think the most I ever saw it up there was like $25.
Right, but it wasn't like the Riemann price. No. Some people were trying to get some stupid prices, and
some
I've gone to gun shows.
Trying to get prices like that.
I've gone to gun shows and I've seen auto match for $29 a box, and I'll tell them, dude, look, $29 a box. Come on.
There is a local shop. I'm not going to mention their name, but I go in there and they've got the same ammo on the shelf. The same 22. They've got bricks of auto match. They're trying to get $48 for a brick of auto match, and I've told them like, y'all are out of your minds.
Yeah, so guys, you have to have your wits about you a little bit. I mean, do some research, determine what the stuff should sell for, and look, if you go into a place and they've got a pile of this stuff laying around and the prices are stupid, politely just say, look, this price is a little bit on the high side. If you're willing to work with me, maybe we can do business. I went down to Barrow Automotive, Bo Barrow down there. Wonderful guy, and his wife is just an awesome lady. She's so friendly.
Everybody in there is awesome.
I mean, when you go in there, money just falls out of your pockets. But anyway, we were down at Barrow's one time, and I will say that we probably weren't out of the woods yet on the ammo crisis.
No, it was you, me, and John Patton.
We were down there. Well, anyway, we went down to visit, and they had a whole bunch of auto match, and I didn't even make a counter offer on the pricing. Mr. Barrow, he just said, look, if you'll buy a lot of this stuff from me, I'll cut you a deal. And he did. And he always has been a very fair man in terms of his business practices. As has Mr. Moss.
I didn't want to be that guy and like buy everything they had. I bought a reasonable amount. I walked away with maybe a few thousand rounds of 22. Like some quiet, some CCI standard, some auto match, and I think a couple other things. Just a variety of stuff.
That's right.
And John was like, he said, "Oh, you left that there?" I was like, "All right, I'll take it." Well, I was like, all right.
I guess the other part of this argument could be the live and let live mentality as well. So, like, if you go into a gun shop and the 22 is a pretty reasonable price, don't buy all of it. Buy enough to meet your needs, and then leave some for the next guy. Try to think of the people around you. I mean, the way I try to look at it is maybe some guy is going to come in right after me and wants to take his grandkid out to shoot. And if I bought all the 22 ammo, his grandkid's not going to get to shoot that day. So I keep that in the back of my mind that I don't know if that guy's going to take his grandkid out to shoot, or he's trying to teach his youngsters how to shoot, or his kids, and maybe I'm depriving them of that ability just because I'm being a greedy you-know-what. So guys, live and let live a little bit. If you find a good deal, leave a little bit for the next guy. Don't be that guy, you know?
Like, the way that I like to do things, if my wife and I are out, or Eric and I are out, or whatever the case is, if we're just traveling around, we're going to some shops, and they've got 22 ammo or whatever, I mean, we might buy a gun, we might buy some ammo, I might buy a brick or two, and just live and let live. But if I buy a bulk quantity, I can usually find better pricing online. Auto match, I've seen it for $165 a case. That's 3,250
so that's
rounds.
$16.50 a brick.
Oh yeah,
right. So that's cheap.
$16.50 a brick,
that's
and that's real cheap. I mean, for that. I mean, this is kind of
exceptional ammo for the money.
And this is kind of like normalized pricing nowadays. I mean, we're probably not going to see. You don't even see Federal making this stuff anymore. They make the 525 round packs.
And I've even seen some different packaging. They're not only doing the auto match now, but I saw a box the other day that looked kind of like that one almost, but it had like an eagle on it.
Yeah,
and it was like a 300 pack or something. And it looks kind of like that.
They've got like the 300, I think it's the CCI
you said
AR
$16.50 a box on that. So if there's 325, let's do some ammo math.
Ammo math.
This is the only kind of math I know how to do.
$16.50 divided by 20.
Yeah, but look, if we take 325 and we divide by, let's just say, let's go back to your 97 cents a thing. All right, so let's just say that's 6.5 boxes of just hypothetically.
All right.
Bear with me.
Well, all right.
So if you take $16.50 and you just divide that by, let's just round up to 7 boxes. That's $2.35 per 50 round. Let's just assume it would be a 50 round sleeve.
Okay.
So even at that being the good guy price, right? I mean, remember you said 97 cents for a box of ammo, so it's still double what it should be really in the big scheme of things.
Let's just say, well, this was, you're talking like 20, 30 years ago.
And I'm not expecting it to be 30 years ago price, but you're getting a little bit better.
You got to think about inflation and such like that, and like the
what did gas cost back then?
When I started driving, gas was like $1. I don't know, like $1.09 or $1.08 or something like that.
So
like
that's about right. I mean, gas has doubled in price.
Actually,
right?
no. When I started driving, I think gas was like 90 cents. Yeah.
So gas is.
Are we that old?
Well, gas is more or less doubled in price. So I guess that kind of, with inflation, that kind of makes sense.
But
rationalize it how you want.
I think that the big point of this video is like prices are normalizing around now. What we find here in Georgia may not be what you find where you live. There might be very few local shops. You might have big box places and they do stuff different. But, like Gander and Academy and Bass Pro, they usually have a decent amount of 22 ammo. And Eric said recently that Academy had a ton. That's way more than I found last time. They had like 3 varieties last time I was in there. They limited you.
The big point of this gripe, guys, is don't be scared to look around. Check online,
Please check online.
Yeah, I mean, check your prices. And if you're new to guns, and say you're watching this video and you're one of those people like, dang, I don't know where to buy 22 ammo. What's this you're talking about, this and that? Well, do a little bit of research. There's a lot of reputable dealers online.
Well, call around to your local shops too. Just do a search for like gun shops in my area or whatever. Find your local shops if you don't know about them. You might find a place that you never even heard of before, like a little mom and pop shop or whatever. And you never know what you're going to find.
And remember, you don't have to get ripped off. You don't have to buy the ammo just because it has X price on it or whatever. You can kindly say no and walk out the door. Don't subject yourself to high prices if you don't want to pay them.
Well,
that is how the whole thing comes back around. Is if people just go, you know what, that price is stupid, I'm not paying it, and just refuse to pay it and don't buy it. Guess what? They're going to have to lower the price or they won't sell it.
Yeah, and if you do pay that price and people keep coming back and paying that price, then that dealer just knows, all right, well, I'm just going to keep this up.
You're encouraging them to keep jacking people up on the price.
If you have a regular shop that you go in and they have 22 ammo and they still limit you to like a box or 2, and they say, oh yeah, we can't get it, and like, really? All right, and just, what about this? I mean, look at this. There's 100,000 rounds here in my cart or whatever. I mean, what are you talking about? You can't find it.
Sometimes the deals that you find online on ammo are so cheap that if you bounce that price versus what the dealer is charging you, he could go online to the same source that you use to buy your ammo cheap and probably work a deal and get an even better rate. So that's the case rate that they're going to make for you just to buy Joe Blow and have it sent to his front door. That doesn't mean a dealer can't get on there and say, hey, how much for 20 cases? Get a little bit better break. And even the normal price they charge, they're still making 25%. So the fact is, I can't get it. That's not an excuse. That is not an excuse. They just don't want to have their money tied up in it. You know?
I don't know. Like Eric said, don't be that guy. Live and let live. If you find a considerable quantity and you can afford it, why don't you just buy it online? Just have it shipped, pay the little bit of extra money, and it still comes out even usually better than what we can buy locally.
Especially if you get your buddies together and do a group buy. There's nothing wrong with pooling your resources. Get 5 or 6 of your buddies together, agree on the amount that everybody wants, and then approach a dealer or even a retailer or a dealer, whoever, or online retailer, and just say, hey, we want to buy this or that, and then maybe they might even be able to work you a little bit better deal than what they're advertising. You don't know if you don't ask. You have to be resourceful. You got to be clever. You got to do business. You got to work with people.
Speaking of bulk buys, I was on J&G sales the other day, and I was looking up Swede Mausers and stuff, and I got this little M38, and trying to find what the barrel threading is because I wanted to throw a suppressor on one and all, and then I found the little blank firing adapters, the wood shredders. I'm like, what is this? What is this sorcery? So I ordered us a couple of wood shredding blank firing adapters, and J&G Sales had 4,800 M14 blanks. Basically, it's a 6.5 Swede with a wooden bullet on it for $96.
We're gonna pull the wooden bullets out of them.
So I asked him, I was like, hey, you want to get this? Yeah, I'll split it with you. All right, here we go.
So, there's nothing wrong with, being resourceful, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. We could go on and on all day about this because we all shoot a lot of 22 ammo. Let's face it. 22 ammo, in a way, is kind of the coin of the land. There's a lot of this stuff around, and people love to shoot 22. It's always going to be around. It's always going to be a mainstay in the gun world. And guys, don't panic. It's coming back. You're seeing, quantities of it showing back up. I think it's going to normalize a bit, so don't panic if you can't find it. Be steadfast, keep looking, and you'll find it. Thank you for watching today's video. Again, we appreciate it. We got much more on the way. More gun gripes, firearms facts. We got more gunsmithing stuff on the way, some reloading content, more mill serps. We got some black powder days coming up where we're going to be shooting some cool black powder guns. So stay tuned for all of that.
Might have some new video concepts too that we're working on.
And some new things, exactly. So we'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Take care.